guys, welcome to the channel and welcome to a film in our controversial week. We've done like a sort of top 10 at the beginning of the week, so today we're going to review one of two films this week, and we're looking at the film that I got quite recently, and it is the serial killer film Angst, which is released here on Cult Epics. This is like a re-release. So before we get any further, let's have a deeper look at this release. So this is the edition of Angst, which I received from Film Treasures. So let's just have a look at the release of this one. Comes with a slipcase. Comes with a, I think, reversible cover. No, just a different cover with different pictures on the back with the listings of the special features, which is really nice. Comes with the Blu-ray disc, and it comes with a booklet. It's the main actor in the film. Got to be careful, I'm not showing you any pictures I shouldn't. The booklet is quite text heavy, but very, very cool. With interviews, questions and answers to some of the cast and crew of the film. It has different articles and papers, but it's supposed to be based upon a true story. So these are the official paper cuttings from the original serial killer, and that is the booklet. And that is the new release of Angst from Film Factory. I'm not sure what company it's released by. Cult Epics it's released by. So it's quite a nice edition, isn't it? It's got quite a nice bit of a nice booklet with it, and a lovely sort of slipcase, which is really cool. When I bought this from Film Treasures, it did say last one, and I'll just let you know now that they don't tend to get any more in. So you'll probably have to look for this elsewhere, but there are other sites and eBay and places like that you may be able to pick this up. So that's the edition. Let's have a look to see if there's any special features. So this is the main screen for Angst. Let's go and have a look at any bonus features. Whoops. Okay, the bonus features on this film are Erdwin Leder in Fear, an interview with Gerard Gregor by George Buttercret, I don't know, can't pronounce the names, interview with Sabignu something, and trailers. So that looks like the special features on Angst. So there are some special features there on the film, which is really, really cool. This is great to have. It's actually quite a number of special features. So it's quite a good release, quite in depth. So let's not waste any time. Let's get on to the story. So this is based upon a sort of psychopathic killer in Germany. The film sort of starts off where we see him just randomly walking around the street. The camera work is very bizarre in this film. It's almost in sort of like third person, a little bit like In a Violent Nature. That was obviously influenced by this film. And we see our killer, he's walking to the house, and he knocks on this door, and this old woman answers the door, and he says, "It's time to shoot you." So he gets a gun out and he shoots her dead. and then he runs off, but he comes back apparently at the night time and gets caught by police and goes to prison for 10 years. And all this is sort of like narrated over at the beginning of the film, because you've got an option to watch the film at the start of the film or with the prologue. I watched it with the prologue and it showed you this about him. And he goes to prison for 10 years. And then after 10 years he comes out. And in the film carries on narrating like behind him. It's no real script as such to this film. It's all narrated by Robert Hunger Bula. He's the guy that narrates it. Anyway, he goes to this family house, and he sort of breaks into this house on this street because as soon as he's out of prison, he starts again. He tries to kill this taxi driver, but fails and runs away. And he finds this house, and he goes to this house where he sees this family. Now, there's a daughter there called Sylvia, and she's played by Karen Springer. And the mother, called Edith, is played by Josephine Lacather, something like that, her name is. And there's another guy living there as well, old man, and his name is Sean, and he's played by Rudolph Kurtz. Hood is played by Kuba. By Kuba, I think that's the name of the killer. The taxi driver is played by Renata Kastek, and she survives the attack of our killer. And there's two beautiful women in the cafe, and they are played by Claudia Shinsko and Betty Shewutsky. I can't remember their names completely. And that is pretty much the cast. There's a couple of police in the cast and stuff like that. There's no other real sort of cast in the film. And that's pretty much how sort of like the film plays out. He sort of terrorizes this family. And he ultimately, he then ends up killing them. And then he's excited by this and he wants to carry on doing this. Let me try and remember the killer's name. I'm sure it's let me have a little look. It doesn't really say. Anyway, the main character is played by what's his name? Erdwin. Excuse me, guys. Erwin Leder plays the killer. Anyway, he eventually sort of like after sort of, he's a bit of a bumbling sort of killer. He sort of fumbles around a lot, and he's sort of like he's very quite unsuccessful a lot of the time. But eventually he does what he wants, and he gets his thrill of it, and he escapes the house, and he wants to go and do more and kill more. But does he? If you want to find out if he actually gets to kill more, you need to watch it and find out. Let's have a little look at the characters. I mean, he plays the killer really well. He's very anxious. He's a very anxious sort of killer. He's only sort of killed that. I think he's killed his mum, because the way he talks about his mum and stuff. And I think he's killed that old lady. And then he comes out, and then he's got this family. So it's 5. So he's a serial killer. But he's a bit of a fumbling sort of serial killer, if you know what I mean. He's not very good at it. He sort of gets in a state of panic, like of rage and sort of stuff, and he doesn't really know what to do. Because at some points before he kills him, he does try to help them. It's a bit strange, but when he realises that he can't, that's when he gets into play with it and sort of kills them off. and so it's really cool. Now the other characters are quite immaterial, I've got to say, because he is the only character in the film. The only other sort of character in the film of mention really is the guy that does the narration. He's the only other character. So like I said, all the other characters are just sort of props. There's not that many characters in the film. But yeah, Robert Hunger Bula is the guy that does the speech of like him talking to himself almost. Like I said, there's no real script to the film, and that's sort of how it plays out, and that's quite a good way of playing it because it makes it really tense. So let's talk about the final verdict. It was so different. I'm going to score it an amazing watch and give it a 9 out of 10. It would have got a 10 out of 10, but because it concentrates on the one sort of like incident after the beginning of the film, it kind of lacks that sort of like, okay, so because the way that it's described, he's a killer, he goes back out on the rampage, and he does to a point, but it's all visioned around this one incident in this house, so it kind of lacked the sort of multitude it could have done, I think, and sort of like we could have seen him kill a few more. Like there's a point in the film where he escapes his house with a car. He could have run over. There was like a group of school kids. I know I'm a bit sadistic, but he could have run them over, and he crashed into this old lady's car and stuff like this. And then he goes back to the cafe after the two girls that he meets in there. These would have been really cool to extend that story, but it just focuses around this one incident. So that's why it drops a point. But that incident is really cool. It is quite tense. You're sort of gripped because you're thinking, what is he going to do? Is he going to kill these people? You know, he's tying them up, and there's a disabled man in a wheelchair there. You know, is he going to kill him, or whatever happens? What's going to happen? And it sort of plays out where you think, does he really want to be doing this, or is he just playing out some sort of sick fantasy? Because part of him is his humane side doesn't want to be there, but then his fantasy side takes over him, and that's, I guess, how serial killers work. I'm not in the brain of a serial killer, so I don't know, but he's kind of like in that frame of mind where he's in this situation where he kind of like, as a human being, he knows it's wrong and doesn't want to be doing it, but his fantasies are so strong they take over to him, and that's sort of like how it sort of plays out. And it's wonderful. Now the pluses of the edition, it looks really, really cool. It's got a very, very droll colours. There's no vibrant colours in the film, and it plays out really sort of grippingly with some very, very, very uncomfortable scenes, and it's very sort of well acted. And the camera angle, although at times it's a little bit shaky and a little bit like a handheld camera, it which can be a bit jarring at first, it kind of works because it suits this film style. If you think of films like Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, it's got that sort of vibe to it, and a sort of like like I told you, that in a violent nature, that's very quite similar in a lot of ways. I like this because I also like the music. It sort of, it gave the music was very sort of Argento, sort of Goblin style, like this 80s sort of music, which is really cool. This film was made in 1983, but I don't believe it was a video nasty. If it was, it'd probably be in one of the lower categories. But yeah, it plays out really, really well, and it's great to have a German horror film in my collection. I don't have many, so it's great to have that in my collection. Angst, 9 out of 10. Have any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below. It was such a different take on the serial killer film that I really enjoyed it, because you saw it from the serial killer, the way his brain's working by the narration, and you're thinking, this guy, he's almost got like a split personality, because he doesn't really want to be doing this, but his fantasies take over, and he just, and it's just what it excites him, and that's why he carries that on. But he buffoons around doing these sort of killings. He's not going to kill anyone because he's just so rubbish at it. But anyway, not necessarily to be good at killing, but you just get that feeling. Anyway, really cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks for checking this out. Check out some horror channels. Check out Horror Hands, Horror Geek, Man v Film, Irish Design, Pizzawell, The Skinwalker, Cat Watches, Horror Movies, and Grumpy Andrew's Horror House, and The Maniac. And a massive shout out to the lad. Till next time, look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I see you all soon.